Hey, what's going on, you combustible combi? We got some new reveals for the Pitch Black set that will be releasing July 17th. This is not our next major set release. This is 2 sets away, but there's been a decent amount of talk about the Mega Darkrai, specifically basic Pokemon, 280 HP. So not bad. It's got that Night Raid for the first attack, 2 Dark Energy, 110. If any of your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 110 more damage. Now, the best form of energy acceleration for Dark Energy in the format is Toxicity, which does put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon you accelerate the energy to from your deck. So that's pretty good for Mega Darkrai. There's obvious synergy there. And then the second attack, Abyss Eye, 3 Dark Energy. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by any special conditions, it is now knocked out. So that's pretty good. Just 1-hit KO when your opponent's active Pokemon is not a bad thing. It does require 3 Dark Energy, of course, and it is on a Mega Pokemon, which means if you return KO'd, you're giving your opponent 3 prize cards back. It's also weak to Grass, which currently, I don't want to be like doom in on this card too much. I don't think this card is like anything crazy. I will say that. I think it is fine. I think it could be a cool piece to include in like a Toxicity box style deck. But I don't think like Mega Darkrai by itself will be something. I think you need a little bit more to it than that. So some kind of Tox box inclusion, I think, is what we're looking at here. Now, there is a new item card coming out, Dark Bell. Both active Pokemon except any Dark Pokemon are now confused. So, you know, you could have Toxicity in the active with an air balloon. Double Toxicity to your Mega Darkrai, attach return. Send in the active, Dark Bell, Abyss Eye, Knockout. I've also seen some people bringing up the idea of like Volcanion EX, but then our bench space starts to get a little bit weird, especially when we need to have like Toxicities in play to be able to set this thing up. So I don't know if that works, but yeah, affect the active Pokemon with special condition, knockout with Abyss Eye. Not too terribly difficult to do, I wouldn't think, especially with the Dark Bell as a possibility. But how good is it really? I don't know. I'm not really sold. This card feels like fine, and I think it's got to be a piece of a bigger puzzle for kind of dark Pokemon in general. By itself, I don't think it's quite enough. There's a couple other dark Pokemon released as well, and none of them are too great. We've got the Inkay here, 60 HP. First attack for a Dark Energy, search your deck for an item card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. 2 Dark for 30, whatever. The Malamar here, Perplex for a Dark Energy. Your opponent's active is now confused. I don't think you're going to be like setting up Malamar, perplexing your opponent's active Pokemon, and then using Mega Darkrai EX. That makes no sense. And then spinning attack here for single dark, 130. If your opponent's active Pokemon isn't confused, his attack does nothing. So obviously kind of a filler card there. There's a Root here. I don't know. The first attack here, the overhead throw for a single dark energy, just 30 and 30 to one of the opponent's bench Pokemon. Could be a little bit of a gap filler to like set up KOs or pick off stuff like Badoo's in the early game. And then Shadow Whip for 3 Dark Energy, 100 damage if any of your bench Pokemon has any Darkness or Shadow Darkness energy attached to them. This attack does 70 more damage. So 170 for 3 as a single prize Pokemon. You're 2 KOing most things. And then Shadow Darkness energy here is the new special Dark Energy, which doesn't work great in Dark decks because, like I said, the best form of Dark Energy acceleration is the Toxicity, and it only accelerates basic Dark Energy from your deck. Actually, I might not clarify basic Dark, but Shadow Darkness energy doesn't provide a Dark Energy until it's attached to a Pokemon. So even if Toxicity says you can accelerate Dark Energy from your deck, Shadow Darkness energy would not apply because it's not a Darkness energy until it's attached to a Pokemon. So yeah, prevent all damage done by your opponent's attacks to the bench Dark Pokemon this card is attached to. It's also kind of a mid card. It's like fine, nothing crazy. Most of the special energy besides telepathic energy that they've released recently have just been whatever for the most part. We talked about the Dark Bell, of course. And then finally, actually, I think this card is pretty good. Chi-Yu here. For a single Dark Energy, Spiraling Envy, you do 20 damage plus any more damage if this Pokemon has 2 damage counters or more on it. And like once again, Toxicity, obvious synergy with the Chi-Yu here. So the Chi-Yu is actually pretty cool. Single energy attacker, do 110 damage, set up some 2-hit KOs, or even KO some smaller stuff in the early game for a single energy is not bad. Chi-Yu is pretty good. Honestly, it feels like Chi-Yu is like the best card out of all of these for a Toxicity box style deck. Shadow Darkness energy, Dark Bell, kind of works with Mega Darkrai, I guess. Zarude as a 1 prize attacker, not great. The first attack is like a little bit interesting, but the fact that the second attack needs Shadow Darkness energy to be on a bench Pokemon, pretty bad. Mega Darkrai EX, it's Chi-Yu honestly is like my favorite card out of all these revealed cards. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is there any obvious combos that I missed with the Mega Darkrai EX. I saw people talking about it with like, was it Lysia's Appeal, I think is the Gust card, but it only gusts up basic Pokemon and then confuses them in the active spot. So how good is that even really? Not that good. Overall, you want to be playing Boss's Orders because you want to be able to gust up evolution Pokemon as well. So pretty underwhelming first reveals for the Pitch Black set, but I'm sure plenty more good cards to come out. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.